Welcome to our Icelandic adventure. We're flying from Manchester to Keflavik, ready to embark on a journey like no other. With 2 weeks ahead of us, we're taking on the challenge of living in a micro camper as we explore the vibrant capital of Iceland before venturing into the awe-inspiring wilderness. Can we thrive in this cozy home on wheels? Join us as we dive into our first 48 hours of exploration. So we have officially touched down in Iceland. We're currently at a supermarket car park, so we've got a bonus here and a Cronin over here. We just done like a little bit of driving, so we drove from the camper van higher place to this car park just so we can get a little bit used to it. And now we're just sorting out all the gear and getting settled in for our home for the next couple of weeks. So we're gonna get the case sorted out and ready. I've just unpacked into the camper and it took us all of 3 minutes. Actually, it's really efficient, and we'll give you a camper tour a little bit later on, maybe in a separate video, not too sure. We're quite overwhelmed right now. But anyway, we're going to go into Bonus, which is the cheapest supermarket in Iceland, to stock up on groceries. Let's go. So we didn't go in Bonus because it doesn't open while 10 and it's still quite early. But Cronin, behind me, we popped in there briefly. We've not done a shop or anything because Bonus is cheaper and we are on a budget. But we did pick up one thing. So yeah, the £2.23 for the cookies. And we pay using Monzo because basically it's super easy. It's free, correct me if I'm wrong. It's free to use abroad. Yep. You pay, so we basically went to the supermarket, contactless, the Monzo card, and so and it shows you the 399 ISK that it cost. As soon as you tap your card, it will pop up on your phone, on your app, and say that was £2.23 at wherever. So,
and that's a really good rate. That's like the rate you get on Google. If you googled what the rate was, that is the rate. You'd never get that at a exchange.
No. So which is why, like, we have no cash at the moment. Probably not really going to get any cash, are we?
We'll get some cash out in case we need campsites.
Oh, that's true. But we've not, when we travel often, we don't use a lot of cash because we get better exchange rate with Monzo, and it's super easy. And you can find out how much actually it's cost you. So anyway, let's go on. We have arrived at the second bonus, so now we're going to go in and see if we can get some, what do you call it?
Food.
Goods. Some food and some groceries, and yeah, let's go. So we have done our first food shop. Don't look at the contents because it looks like we're students. The contents of this trolley looks like a student's trolley. So this was £50, which was around 1,000 ISK. So yeah, I'm literally gonna get it loaded up into under here. So we have done our bonus shop and we've got a few groceries now for the next few days, and we're gonna head into the capital, so we're heading to Reykjavik now. In Reykjavik, we began exploring the colourful Rainbow Road, which was originally painted to celebrate Pride. It's now a lively, inclusive part of the city, filled with shops and cafes, a very popular tourist attraction. This colourful Rainbow Road leads up to the famous church in the city, which is inspired by Iceland's volcanic landscapes. A defo must-see if you're in the area. We then made our way to see the Sun Voyager, a steel sculpture by the sea in Reykjavik that resembles a Viking ship. It also symbolises hope, freedom and the promise of new undiscovered territories. One of the quirkiest spots that we found near the capital of Iceland is this recycled house. Now, it's a whimsical creation by a filmmaker located along the North Atlantic coastline. And this house features a wild mix of salvaged materials, including rusty metal sheets, random decorations, and so much more. Originally, he bought the workspace for crafting film props, but it's now evolved into an artistic statement on sustainability and repurposing, and the guy actually still lives here. But anyway, each element tells a story, and it's a fascinating stop for anyone looking to explore Iceland's creative side. So while we was in the city, we got some cash out just in case we needed any cash for campsites. And how much did we get out of the bank?
Got £85 out.
85 English pounds out of the bank, which is, how much isk?
15,000.
15,000 Icelandic isk. And you know, it's quite a lot of money, £85. You expect to have a bit of money.
Couple of notes.
What have we got?
Two.
£1,000 note.
No, £10,000.
A 10,000 note, which is worth what?
About 50 quid. And then a 5,000, which is about 25.
I feel
just
like
over 50 quid.
If you lose that, it's quite a lot. Just seems a bit pathetic, doesn't it?
It does. Makes you feel poor.
So we've just explored the recycled house. Sorry. And it's getting a little bit late in the day, so we've done the capital, we've done the few bits we wanted to do in this area, so we're going to head over to basically start the ring road adventure, but because it's like 3 o'clock, we're going to head to a campsite now. We've got an hour and a half-ish drive. Hour and a half to 2 hours drive, which is kind of, it's starting the ring road. So hopefully we catch some cool scenery and get all set up for our first night camping in this bad boy. What did we name it? So we've just parked up and got set up at our first campsite of our Iceland adventure. You can see our beautiful camper is behind us. Little Renee, she's done us proud today, hasn't she? Why are you giggling?
Funny.
She's part of this journey.
She's part of the journey.
And we'll remember her forever.
Yeah, we will.
Anyway, so first campsite. I was a little bit nervous because the campsites in Iceland, you don't really book in advance. I mean, I think some of them you can do, but you don't really book them in advance. And which obviously in the UK, that's not something we do. We've tried in the UK before to get on a campsite, haven't we?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, sorry. But here we pulled up to the first campsite and it was like off a main road, and we was like, nah, there's not a campsite around here. Because in Iceland, wild camping is illegal, so you have to be on a campsite. I'm just going to move the camera because my arm is killing. That's better. Yeah, so we've pulled up on our first campsite. It's got a hotel, like a mini hotel, and some guest cabins as well. You alright?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so parched for that cup of tea. Anyway, so yeah, it's got a campsite, a hotel, and some cabins. And we pulled up, and it was brilliant. It was just perfect because I went into the hotel reception, which was very welcoming, and it was very quiet. I mean, we are out of season now, and it was perfect because there was like 2 little laminated sheets on the countertop. There was information for hotel guests as well, but there was 2 little laminated sheets on the counter. One was in Icelandic and one was in English. It was just basically welcoming camper vans, telling them the price, what you had to do, what was included. So I just rang the bell, somebody came along, and he was the most polite person I've ever spoke to. And yeah, we just paid for the campsite. He showed us where to park. This is our first campsite in Iceland, and it's brilliant. It's got showers that are warm and toilets that are really warm. It's got bins, and it's also got like a communal space where you can go chill out, cook if the weather's really bad. And yeah, something else to mention is in Iceland, most of the campsites are like paid per person, and then you pay for electricity on top. And they're not too bad either. They're like, what are they? How much was it?
That was 26 quid.
Which is per person.
£13 a person.
£13 a person. And you get all your facilities, which I don't think's bad. But yeah, so we're gonna have a cup of tea now because it's been an extremely long day. And maybe I'll show you around the campsite. Maybe I'll just chill out. Who knows? I thought I'd just show you where the campsite basically and where we parked up. So this is all parking. This is where we have parked with this beautiful view, and we've got really lucky with the weather this evening. Fingers crossed it stays like this. But yeah, this is where we are set up. And we're going to cook some food and just chill out for the evening, and then get up for the sunrise in the morning. So just sat making a cup of tea with this beautiful sunset. And we thought we'll cook outside, get outside even though it's absolutely freezing, while we've got this nice beautiful weather. And what's the weather looking like for the week?
Looks like a very good weather, sunny week.
Yeah.
It's cold.
It starts going downhill after that. Oh, we can only see.
Yeah.
Well, that's so
Thursday
good.
it's a high of 4. Which means it's colder than it is now.
I'll take that though. Cold and sunny. That's really lucky. Also, I'll do a little update. So we have a couple of these butane gas canisters for this little grill, this little hob. It's loud. And we're having a problem with them dying out very, very quickly. So I'm just trying to make a cup of tea, and to get the kettle to boil, it's just not making it boil because the flame's dying out. And we didn't know what was happening. Was like, surely it can't be running out of gas that quick. And it's actually because it's too cold. Because that's getting too cold. So once we warm that up, the flame actually comes back, which is a bit difficult because it's so cold. But yeah. So the next morning we woke up to a beautiful sunrise, another beautiful day in Iceland. We then had a quick cuppa and got ready to hit the road and start exploring. So if you're still watching, keep tuned and see what we get up to on our first day in the wilderness of Iceland. first Icelandic waterfall and I'm absolutely stoked. I've got all the gear and no idea what to expect. I've put waterproof trousers on. Alright, we're going to take the water and play with that. You know you can see the water. Your face is all wet. This waterfall, Skafos, was hands down my favourite waterfall experience of all time. Standing in front of it was like stepping into another world. Walking behind it, it was powerful, magical, and completely surreal. You can feel the strength of the water crashing down and the mist swirling around, leaving us with this intense, refreshing energy that's hard to describe. Even though I captured this footage, nothing quite does justice to what it felt like in person. This place made me feel more alive than ever, with its sheer beauty and force. It's an experience I will never forget, and it's a must for anyone coming to Iceland. So we have arrived at the DC3 plane wreck. So we're going to go find out a little bit more about it and go check it out now. Visiting the DC3 plane wreck was a unique experience, but I'll admit it was a little bit underwhelming. The plane has a fascinating backstory. It's a US Navy aircraft that crash-landed here in Iceland in 1973 after running out of fuel. Thankfully, everyone survived, and the wreck has since become an iconic photo spot. While it was intriguing to see this historic site against the dramatic Icelandic landscape, it felt almost a little bit staged. So, plane wreck complete, it was time to head and find our very first Icelandic hot spring. Let's go! We made it to Seljavallalug swimming pool. Bear with me as I might be pronouncing that very wrong. This was our first taste of a wild hot spring in Iceland, and it was beyond surreal. The hike to get there was just long enough to build up the anticipation, and once we arrived, it felt like we stumbled into a hidden gem tucked right into the mountains. The pool was generally mild in temperature, but there were secret hot spots where you could feel an extra wave of warmth. Sitting there, surrounded by freezing air, yet feeling this deep warmth seeping into our brains, was one of the most unforgettable, otherworldly moments that I've ever kind of experienced. It was peaceful, raw, and made the chilly Icelandic landscape feel almost homely for a while. First hot spring complete, now on to another iconic waterfall, Skafos. This spot is super popular with tourists, but then again, why wouldn't it be? The powerful waterfall and perfect rainbow arching over it were unforgettable. I was instantly obsessed. It was pure, Icelandic magic. The spray coming off Skafos is absolutely wild, so apologies for any water spots on the footage. Standing this close, you get completely drenched in seconds, and it was freezing, which just added to the intense raw experience. But in all honesty, it was perfect and awesome. The craziest part was that the rainbow near this waterfall made a full circle. No camera tricks here. You could see it with your own eyes, a complete perfect ring of a rainbow hovering in the mist. It was surreal and made the experience completely magical. We then dried off and warmed up with some quick cheapo noodles before hitting the road again, this time in search of one of Iceland's famous black sand beaches. And little did we know that the weather was going to take a very, very windy turn. Our final stop of the day was one of Iceland's famous black sand beaches. These stunning beaches get their colour from volcanic rock ground down by powerful ocean waves. The contrast between the black sands and the foaming white waves creates an otherworldly scene, showcasing the raw power of Iceland's nature. It's a beautiful, unforgettable experience. It was very cold and very windy, but it was definitely a really cool experience. After an action-packed 48 hours, we headed to a campsite for the evening. Our first 2 days in Iceland were absolutely incredible, and we can't wait to share what's coming up in next week's video. If you're interested, be sure to check out our van tour of the camper we hired. I'll pop a link in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and if you enjoy our adventures, please don't forget to subscribe. It's free and really helps us out. Thanks again, and stick around for some epic bonus photos.
But now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really